Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Idea Gen Global Podcast with George Sifakis.
I'm George Sifakis. In a world overflowing with noise, there is one forum where the world's smartest voices connect, where visionaries sit at the same table as innovators, and great minds don't just talk, they act.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
The Dick Morris Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Our show, sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group.
Hello, Dick Morris.
Hiya.
Let me just throw out the listener call-in number. It's 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222.
Today, this week was the week when everything turned around for Donald Trump. After a great beginning to his presidency and a great first 5 or 6 months, the news media caught up with the story and began to tell people that people were turning on Trump, that they were disliking him, that they felt the economy had not responded in the way Trump said it would. And then that was capped off by the defeat of the Republicans in New York and in Virginia, and the election of Mandami, for God's sakes.
God, can you believe it?
Now, this week, to be exact, Wednesday and Thursday, was the date that I think everything began to turn around. And I think when the history of this off-year election is written, that's going to be plainly apparent. Trump absolutely aced that speech that he gave on Thursday on the economy. When I spoke with him yesterday about it, I told him how incredible it was, and he said, "You very rarely praise me like that." And it's true.
Why, he doesn't listen to us on the radio?
and he was, and I told him I thought the speech was absolutely brilliant. I told him it was the best speech I think he's ever given. And the fact it was condensed to 16 minutes really forced him to cover all the material and cover it well. And he did a great job. But the point is that the reactions are coming in right now. I'm calling it the Trump bump. And it's been significant since he took office. As President Trump begins to put more focus on the economy, and everyday people are beginning to feel the easing of Biden inflation, things do not look as rosy for Democrats in the upcoming election. Looking at Real Clear Politics, the poll of polls, what had been a 5.5 lead for the Democrats in the generic congressional ballot has been cut in half to 2.7. And 47% wanted, in December, 47% wanted to see Democrats running Congress. Today, that's fallen to 43. For context, in the 28 midterms, with Trump sitting in the White House, Democrats led by an average of 7 points. So it should be noted that even with that lead, the Democrats failed to take the Senate. So consumers are less worried about inflation, according to the survey. Consumer expectations for inflation in the year ahead fell for the fourth consecutive month to 4%. That's down from 4.5% in November, the lowest reading since February. Over the next 10 years, they see prices falling. 3.2% say they will. And the fourth straight monthly decline and lowest expected inflation since January. So after Trump's speech, there are 4 numbers to remember. The first pair of numbers are 4 and 3, and the second pair of numbers are 5 and 2. That's kind of all you have to know. The 4 and 3 is that currently we have 4% growth and 3% inflation. The 5 and 2 is that Kudlow and a lot of great economists are saying that by the time Trump's policies are fully felt in the next 5 or 6 months, the economy will grow by 5%.
Wow.
Not 4%.
That's pretty fast.
Huge.
5 to 6, 8 months. That's pretty quick for this to happen.
And the inflation will drop from 3 to 2. So if the numbers are 5 and 2, 5 growth, 2 inflation, Trump is going to look like an absolute star.
Sure. You
don't
feel the inflation at all if those numbers go up.
And it's you may think 5 and 2 and 4 and 3 are more or less the same numbers.
No.
But they're not.
No.
4 and 3 is a close race for the midterms. 5 and 2 is a total wipeout.
Oh, looking at it that way, sure. It's funny. All weekend, or last week, I'm sorry. We live in the most expensive area, I think, in the country, Westchester County, Connecticut, right north of the city. I've been looking at all the gas stations, and every station was under $3.
Yeah.
We said last week, how much the gas was. It's so high, it's $5. No way. So after we did that show last week, I kind of remember.
See the impact we have on OPEC?
Or on me.
Yeah.
So under $3, I see gas at $2.80, and this is the most expensive area in Armonk, New York. Forget about Armonk. That's ridiculous. Still under $3.
Yeah. So, but in terms of politics, I think that this was the week that people began to revise their opinions of the Trump's economy.
Well, that's how it's going to happen.
And
gas stations.
That'll be a big part of it. But also drug prices.
Oh, yeah, sure.
The fact is that drug prices have dropped for the first time really in decades, since Trump took office. And it's kind of incredible that he's been able to do that. And he's done that by, his most favored nation, most favored drug price policy.
Yeah.
Which says that you go around the world and if this bottle of whatever it's selling, Viagra or whatever, costs less in Oshkosh than it does here, you lower your price to the Oshkosh level.
In the country or anywhere?
In the world.
In the world.
Yeah. That's Oshkosh, Ukraine.
That's a technical term, Oshkosh. Yeah.
And
he also does across state, buying, can buy insurance from across the competition.
There is all that, and he makes deals.
And that's important.
He makes deals with providers to do that. But I think.
Like what kind of a deal does he make? He gives them a tax break, or what kind of deal does he make?
He gives them a tax break, and now it doesn't need the deal because he's passed the law for the most favored nation.
And then he's got this tariff thing where he's talking about lowering taxes or almost eliminating them. So that's going to be big if it happens. What's the story with the courts with that at this point?
Still pending. I had hoped there would be a decision by now, but there will be soon. And when everybody's assuming that Trump will win that, but we'll see. Until he does, he can't move ahead with the rebate.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at this, after the midterm elections, the Republicans were sad, and they were worried about Democratic gains in the midterms. With that speech and the facts that underlie it, and the stuff that's immediately coming on tap, I think Trump turned the corner. And I think that people now are expecting, and the polls are indeed reflecting, that things are going to get a lot better, that, in fact, inflation is now down to 3 and may drop to 2, and growth is now up to 4 and maybe up to 5. And those are terribly important numbers.
Well, you were saying, at least to me, I probably on the show also, I don't remember, Dick Morris very pessimistic about a lot of things. Oh, we're going to lose the midterm. I said, Dick, it was a month ago. I said, we got another year, but we've got at least 4 months to build up. And
but part of it was that I was on the phone with Trump a lot this month.
I know.
Saying you got to talk about the cost of living. I think I was important in getting him to go out on the campaign trail again
and getting it out there
and give these speeches. And I think that the speeches are really resonating. But they wouldn't if data weren't there. And the nice thing is that the data is very good. Even though it's small, they're small numbers because we don't have a lot of inflation. We have a lot of growth. But still, I think that the impact of changes are very significant.
I think right now with Christmas, right now is when people are going to feel whatever they're going to feel next year. Christmas, they could buy their wife, their kids stuff, that's going to make the difference. And I see it happening. It looks like. Do we have polls numbers on Christmas spending?
Than polls. Despite gloomy assessments, U.S. consumers continue to spend at a robust pace.
Right now.
Now.
Christmas time.
Total retail sales through October were up 4% from the period a year ago. And online sales are up 7.2%, and restaurants are up 5.5%.
Boom.
Consumers are less worried about inflation. According to the survey, consumer expectations for inflation in the year ahead fell for their fourth consecutive month to 4.2%. That's down from 4.5 in November and the lowest reading since February. Over the next 5 to 10 years, consumers agree that inflation will be under 3%.
Wow.
Which means that the Fed can do what it likes. It can cut interest rates without a problem.
And
Trump is appointing new leadership at the Fed that's going to use all of that slack in the leash to cut interest rates.
You know, we have John McLaughlin coming on a little later, so he could talk about this too.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Blakey.
Right.
Blakely, right? Is that how you say it?
Blakely. Blakeman.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And he's new, so we don't know his name yet. And
he's going to be our governor, so get used to it.
Get his name right?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to think of a good name for him.
Stefanik has dropped out of the governor's race, which is incredible, and I think a little premature. I think it's kind of funny that she has been out there as the leader, and now she's just out and said she's retiring from Congress. She's just packing it all in. And I think this is more in the realm of lifestyle change than anything else.
Blakeman is his name.
Yeah.
Do you think she thought that maybe there was no way of beating Jokel? It has to be.
I think we're talking about depression.
Really?
I think she probably was very upset, wasn't ready for the scrutiny she'd get in prime time.
Oh, then forget it.
Because there was nothing big that she got wrong.
Why? What were they saying about it? I don't remember
really.
anything.
She
just wasn't
fine.
ready for it.
Yeah. And the fact that she's dropping out of Congress, I think indicates a life change. I think that
maybe she's got family.
Yeah, there may be family.
And this is a horrible thing to be in, this politics. We know it so well.
Well, but I think that she was en route to winning, and I think
and Trump endorsed her.
Yeah, Trump endorsed her
so early.
It was more than Trump endorsing her. Trump made her drop out of Congress and run instead for governor because he very early. Said, I want Elise Stefanik for governor. And then she had to withdraw from the congressional. Everybody else jumped in.
I wasn't aware of that.
At the same time, Trump said, I want Mike Lawler from Rockland to stay in Congress.
We were with Mike
for a while. And he did obediently.
Yeah.
And he dropped his governor's race.
I like him.
So Trump's musing about what he thought should happen totally reshaped New York politics.
Yeah, I like Mike. I like him because he went against Trump a little bit. You know, he had balls to say, no, I don't agree with this. And then they talked and they made it work. You know, he showed some serious strength.
So I think that I think the comeback of Trump this month is enormous. And I think this week, and I think it's hard in politics to identify when categories change and the fundamental shift changes. I've told you before, David Garth, who is a competitor of mine, but was
Who's this guy?
He was one of the greatest political consultants in New York.
And now you are.
And David once told me, changing direction is the hardest thing to do in politics. And yet Trump appears to have changed direction on the economy.
Trump has always changed.
But part of it is that the Democrats were trying to sell something that wasn't true. And they were trying to convince everyone that Trump had failed in turning the economy around. And they claimed it from prematurely. They didn't really have data at the time. And when they got data, the data was the other way. And then Trump went on this primetime speech and turned that around. And now I think the consensus is that things are improving. It'll take a little while. Prices are still high, but they're coming down. He's beating inflation in key areas. And most important of all, people are learning a new fact, which is the key thing is not how much does inflation go up or down, but how much does the wages versus inflation go up and down. And the idea of real wages, which means wages minus inflation, incomes minus inflation. Changing is really now in the conventional
That's the formula
wisdom.
that I should know?
Yeah.
Incomes.
Well, that's what everyone's talking about. And I think that wasn't true before Trump spoke on Thursday. Now it's quite true.
That's interesting. And now he's changing government. Well, not really. Another way to look at yesterday's job numbers, Trump has shrunk the federal government to its 2014 head count. So right there, he's saving some money there again.
Yeah, but, the key thing there is that he has made two fundamental changes in the employment posture. The first has been that...
You mean in the government?
In the country.
In the country.
The first is that government employment is down and private employment is up, which is very important. And secondly, the rate of inflation has dropped below the rate of wages.
As you're saying.
So that means in real dollars there's an increase. So if you used to feel that you were doing better off, you were being fooled.
Right.
Now you're not.
Yeah, it's the same as when Biden would say employment's up. Well, so many people lost their job, and half was coming, and so we could fake all those numbers. Then we got, we're close to a break? 2 minutes? All right.
Okay, so we have time for the next story. The
anti-conservative media censors barred in final defense spending bill.
We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. The National Defense Authorization Act, which spells out money for Department of War now for the next
final passage Wednesday by the Senate includes a strong prohibition on the Department of War from using any advertising agency that deploys media monitors, groups that rate news outlets or factual accuracy, misinformation, or other criteria. Major ad agencies have been using these monitors, including the left-wing NewsGuard, to censor and blacklist conservative news organizations. Yeah, I see that all the time. This restriction found in Section 1541 builds on a similar prohibition made in 2025 National Defense Authorization Act. Major advertising agencies have been effectively censoring conservative media by blocking ads and their revenues using left-wing media monitors. Christine Zernajewski.
Give up on that.
No, I got it. Christine, because you give me all these hard names and words.
I make them up.
Yeah.
Her actual last name is Smith.
It's Christine. That's funny. Christine Zernajewski, spokesperson for the Independent Media Council, told news organizations the IMC, the Independent Media whatever, represents more than a dozen major conservative and independent media organizations. We applaud Congress for taking the stand to oppose such censorship when it comes to military recruitment, advertising. The Congress acted to make sure all Americans see these recruiting ads and stopping left-wing rating groups like NewsGuard from targeting conservative media. The new NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act provision, requires that any advertising or marketing agency receiving Pentagon funds certify it does not, number one, rate or rank news or information sources for the factual accuracy of their content. Number two, provide ratings or opinions on news or information sources regarding misinformation, bias, adherence to journalistic standards or ethics. Number three, acquire or use any service that provides any ratings, rankings, or opinions described in paragraph 1 and 2.
We'll amplify this when we come back from the break.
Yeah, when we come back.
The Dick Morris Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Dick Morris Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Dick Morris and Doug DiPirro Show, sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group. Let me just finish on that last story about censorship.
Sure.
The left developed a new strategy once Trump took office of trying to censor out left publication by the conservatives about the truth in media. And what they did was to set up organizations like media monitors and various other groups that were left-wing groups that went through the news and discredited stories that came from the right. And then they told media outlets about it. And they told ad agencies. And the ad agencies learned not to sell ads to companies that were rated badly by these monitors.
Okay, hold on. That takes money.
Yeah.
That just doesn't take ideology. Oh, don't talk about this.
Well funded by the liberals.
I want to ask how and why, but you might not know exactly.
When Trump took office, they realized they couldn't do it through government anymore, and they'd have to do it privately.
Like people like Soros type of thing?
Soros's money is big of it. Big part of it.
Because it takes money to stop someone from pulling an ad revenue.
Yeah, well, it was very important, and it is very important. So Trump couldn't say you can't do that, because that's free speech. But what he could do is he could say that the Defense Department can't pay you to do any of that. And since military recruitment advertising is a whole huge piece of the media money, Trump said, I'll cut that off if you use media monitors to censor broadcasts. So it really isn't censorship. It's telling private people.
Capitalism.
Yeah, but it's telling private people will punish you if you run stuff from these sources.
Oh,
so, and this really puts teeth in it in an amazing way. And it's not just an executive order. This is actually in the budget. So, when they run ads about how great the Marines are, and they are great, and why you should join up, and more people are, you can't advertise with anybody that uses media monitors to censor information. So it's a huge blow, not just for free speech, but for conservative speech.
This is his mindset of being a businessman in New York.
Yeah.
Order to deal type of.
And using that power.
Yeah, and using that power in order to deal. You know, just to talk about with the military and whatnot, and I just want to touch on this. I've been talking to, and this has to do with Mandami, or Mom Donnie, however you say this commie's name, and the police and the New York City guys, the big guys. I've been talking to a lot of the guys, and I can't say who and where because of what I'm going to say. I talked to a couple guys recently, and even this morning, and I said, if ICE is in trouble in New York City, and you get a call, and the commie says, no, stand down. Are you going to stand down, or are you going to go help ICE? And I needed to know this. And I asked 3 guys, 1 regular officer and 2 big shots. And they all say, absolutely, we're going to go help them. We are not going to listen to the mayor if there's a problem. That's our job, to defend people, especially law enforcement people. So I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that I'm saying this out loud. I'm not going to say who and where, but 3 guys. And then a couple of other guys that are retired that are very high up, I asked them the other night, and they said the same thing. So we're looking pretty good that this Mandami is not going to tell our police officers to stand down when ICE needs them.
Yeah, but what's going on here is that the left is ginning up protests by minorities who claim they're being mistreated.
Oh, God.
Snatched off the street.
Yeah, sure.
Children taken out of baby carriages.
I'm scared.
Or to deport them. And they're doing that to try to generate controversy at a time when Trump basically has the news doing what he wants. Because they're basically covering the economy and it's helping them. So what they're trying to do is to scare everybody.
Tactic, sure. And get to their emotions. And you're a minority, you're not worth anything.
Now,
they're going to hurt
let's go on to the next story about Netflix.
So speaking of that, this is about Jewish groups they're protesting Netflix film.
Yeah.
The movie.
I use Netflix. Lots of people do.
Yeah, so do I.
And I was really, really disturbed by this.
Yeah. The movie, The Kingdom of Jordan, has submitted to the 2026 Oscars is Farah. Propaganda film depicting Israeli soldiers massacring Arabs during the War of Independence.
1947.
And Netflix will begin streaming it for general consumption this month. The normalization of blood libels is growing. What is blood libels, Dick? I had to ask him early.
It's a term that Jewish groups have coined.
Blood libels.
Blood libels. That says that when you say that Jews killed Jesus, particularly, or something that says Jews are terrible and are corrupting our civilization, That's called a blood libel. A libel because it's not true, and blood because it's not about a policy, it's about the people.
Extreme. Okay. So blood libel is growing. It leads to violence against Jews. One of the largest streaming networks on earth must not be allowed to spread genocidal poison of this kind. Please sign, this is good, please sign Iron Lion Zion's petition demanding
Lion Zion's petition.
Yeah, it's Iron, as in iron, I-R-O-N. Iron Lion Zion.
Oh, I got the iron out of it. Okay.
Yeah. Iron Lion Zion's petition demanding Netflix not stream this anti-Semitic film. Good.
Yeah.
And once again, Iron Lion Zion's.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Now, this is another great story. 4 leftist states have lost 4 million people and nearly 1 trillion. I think it's 5, by the way, Dick. Let's see. We've reported on these pages in recent weeks that at least 5 big blue states are seriously considering soak the rich tax hikes. The list so far includes California, Colorado, Illinois, Michigan, and New York. Maybe they are emboldened by socialist Zoran as a commie. Big win to become New York's next nightmare. I got names all over the place, don't I? Or maybe they believe their own propaganda that taxes don't matter. It's about as ill-fated as trying another Bay of Pigs invasion. We went to our Vote With Your Feet website and calculated how many people and how much money has been lost in 10 states over the past decade. Here are the results.
By how much money, what they mean is that
taxes,
Joe
revenue.
moved out of New York.
Right.
And Joe would have paid $1 million in taxes.
Right.
So that's minus $1 million.
Sure.
And the stat there shows that 4 states have lost $1 trillion.
No, hold on. More than 4 million people and nearly $1 trillion in income to other lower tax states. That's what they lost, and it's going to whomever, whatever.
Right.
Florida.
Now, this is a stat that never used to be. There was no computation about this. But they've increasingly been doing this. The Tax Foundation, and they've been very successful.
The thing with the nightmare, the Zokami, you think things are expensive now. Wait until they're free.
Yeah,
exactly. This guy.
Exactly.
And then we got the leadership of Heritage Foundation.
Yeah, this is a big scandal with our friend Tucker Carlson.
Yeah. In his resignation statement, Shane McCullough, right? Yep. Said that he had originally accepted the position to help advance the ideals of America's founding, but could no longer reconcile his principles with the foundation's actions. McCullough said that no institution that hesitates to condemn anti-Semitism and hatred, or that gives a platform to those who spread them, can credibly claim to uphold the vision that once made the Heritage Foundation the world's most respected conservative think tank. In an apparent and pointed reference to Kevin Roberts, McCullough, that's how you say it, right? McCullough said he could not remain on the board if it was unwilling to confront the lapses in judgment that have harmed his credibility. McCullough has held major executive positions at McDonald's, Rubbermaid, and now serves as CEO of KW Metro Center, one of the country's largest real estate. Moffat, a board member since 92, is considered one of the leading conservative philanthropists in the nation and serves as chief executive officer of the Diana Davis Spencer Foundation. Records show 2023, the Spencer Foundation contributed $25 million to Heritage. After describing her departure as not an easy decision, Moffat said Heritage's response to recent challenges reveals drift from the principles they once defined its leadership.
Yeah. And Heritage used to be very influential. And still is until the story
Frank
happened.
Gaffney also. Am I the right? Is that the right?
I don't know if Gaffney.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
May have been, but they were really the main credible conservative think tank, and till they started screwing around by inviting this anti-Semitic speaker, Nick Fuentes, to speak to their group.
Why would they do that? I mean,
I don't know. It's self-destruction.
There's some mindset there that is in control of all the other people. That's what it has to be. Somebody that people have to just yes them to death. Okay, we'll have these people, because if there's enough conservative people that don't want that to happen, it shouldn't. But whatever.
Now, while this is happening, the Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul, embarked on an inadvertent experiment. And nobody knew, nobody approved of it. But they said, okay, we're going to test whether rent control causes homelessness or not.
Right.
And we're going to have one city, St. Paul, which is going to expand rent controls. And then Twin City, Minneapolis, they're almost identical cities, will not expand rent control, but will expand subsidies for housing and construction. And Minneapolis adopted tougher rent controls, while St. Paul urged new construction. And the Wall Street Journal reported a vast difference in outcomes. The St. Paul capped annual rent increases at 2%, while Minneapolis went the other way and streamlined permitting to cause new construction. In 2002, St. Paul enacted one of the strictest rent control regimes in the country.
That's order, 2000, when? 22?
Yes.
Now, don't they see what happens when they do that?
They just did. That's the news story here. They saw that when you capped rent increases, you capped housing, you stopped construction.
And you get people to move out.
Yeah.
The owners of big buildings say bye-bye.
Exactly.
You know?
And this is really the first documentation of that I think is a very important story.
Wow. The U.S. sues 14 states for failing to keep accurate voter rolls.
Yeah, thank goodness.
This is you, Dick.
When election fraud comes in, even the federal election, it's the responsibility of the states to stop it, because the voter rolls are maintained by the states. And Trump has begun a policy of suing states unless they provide accurate information about their voting rolls. And if a state does not do it, they face sanctions and lawsuits from the federal government. This is a big change from when the Department of Justice used to sue states for the opposite, for not letting a lot of people onto the voter rolls.
Yeah, right.
Now they're making sure that they're accurate.
Right.
And in light of that, they've just added 14 states to the list of states they're suing on this.
Of course, the Democrats are going to say it's racist or it's whatever. They'll make up all the proper names that they use on bumper stickers to tell us how horrible we are.
So the Justice Department has sued.
We got to take a break.
Okay. All right.
Let's take a break. We'll come back.
The Dick Morris Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Dick Morris Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Dick Morris and Doug DiPirro Show, sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group. We're about to have a segment on the rocks.
On the rocks with Roxanne. We want to say first,
talk.
You know, and I meant to start from the beginning. Merry Christmas to everyone and Happy Hanukkah.
Merry Christmas.
So Rock has got a beautiful thing. What do we call that she does? A monologue? Beautiful statement. Hi, Roxanne Maria.
Okay.
What you got?
Well, I just wanted to start this way. This year has tested our resolve as Americans and as citizens of the world, where senseless assassinations, murders, and venomous hatred have become all too common, leading us to wonder if the very fabric of our society is fraying. Where Islamic terrorism has infiltrated our cities in America, leaving fear and uncertainty in its wake. Where mental illness and homelessness on the rise and human disconnection has become a stark reality. Yet, even in the midst of such darkness, we find hope in the leadership of President Trump, who is diligent and tirelessly working with others to eliminate these heinous acts of violence, to restore the light of humanity. So here we are.
Here we
in
are.
the season of lights, Hanukkah, a time when we celebrate the triumph of light over darkness, of hope over despair. Where in Christianity, the guiding light, the Star of Bethlehem, led the wise men to the birth of Christ. I am the light of the world, John 8:12, Jesus had declared. When does this light of the season touch our hearts, allowing ourselves to be present in the moment, to feel the warmth of generosity and the joy of giving? Or as we get caught up in the hustle of the season and the bustling, going through the motions on autopilot, does it lose its meaning? Somewhere in the midst of all this, the spirit of Christmas strikes, like a shot of adrenaline, filling our hearts with warmth and kindnesses. We call it the Scrooge syndrome, where even the grumpiest, the one with the loudest bah humbug, can't help but feel a sense of hope.
Is that me?
And generosity. It's a feeling that's tied to the story of Jesus' birth, celebrated through goodwill, traditions, and togetherness, deepening bonds, fostering a sense of community. For those who are grieving or struggling through the holidays, being present, listening, offering compassion, inclusion can mean everything. Extending a kindness and generosity to those less fortunate or alone can be a powerful reminder of what that true spirit of this season is. For the spirit of Christmas, the season of lights, the most valuable gift we can offer is the gift of self, spreading love. And I'd like to also give a special thank you to our military who can't make it home. We are grateful for your sacrifice. So glory to God in the highest, and on earth, goodwill to men, blessings to all. Be safe.
That was beautiful, Rock.
Thank you, Rock.
Merry Christmas.
You know, Doug, when you're wondering if it was a monologue or what, until you start talking, it's a monologue.
Oh, mono being one.
Yeah.
A duologue.
Right.
Oh, that was beautiful.
That was very good.
Well, it is. It's all about light. So, like you started, Dick, you know, everything is in the light now. Everything is looking up and good, and it's progressing for our country, for the president, everybody.
I had never really correlated the Star of Bethlehem with the light of Hanukkah, but you're right. They're both light, and they're both from the same source.
And here we are.
Yes, and here we are. And in the Bible, it does make a reference to that being the time of light.
Right.
So
That's
there
beautiful.
is a connection.
We always learn
Thank
something
you.
from you, Roxana. There's always something. And
All right.
I know I'm the silverback. What am I going to do? Grumpy old man. Can't do anything.
I just learned the phrase silverback from
Oh,
Doug.
yeah. You know
I didn't know what a silverback was.
It's a bah humbug.
I am not a bah humbug. Bah
Explain what a
humbug.
silverback is.
A silverback is the ape. He's the oldest ape in the. Well, by the way, find that out, honey. What is an apes? What is it called? Like a herd or whatever. The silverback is the oldest, the matriarch, if you would, right?
Patriarch, yeah.
Right, patriarch. I'm sorry, and he's silver, so they call him the silverback. And she sent me a picture of a silverback, like screaming and yelling. Rah! And I showed Dick this morning. Look what Roxana said. He goes, "What is that silverback?" I go, "Really? You don't know? Dick Morris doesn't know?" Sure, if Trump knew
Doug,
about it,
actually,
you know.
the silverback is the dominant of all the male gorillas.
What are you getting at, honey? Take it easy. I don't need that. I don't need that pressure, okay?
Of all the gorillas, he is definitely the dominant
Yeah.
of their world.
All right, Roxana Marie.
All right.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Well, we're on the subject. Trump is decriminalizing marijuana. He signed an executive order on December 18th directing Bondi to expedite the reclassification of cannabis for the purposes of allowing medical research. Now, this is one of the only times when you catch Donald Trump saying something that isn't true, and you shouldn't believe it, but it's what he said. He said he was reclassifying pot for the purposes of allowing medical research.
He heard from so many people who have talked about the potential benefits of medical marijuana and CBD use, But he also heard from patients and from doctors that there's not enough research to inform medical guidelines, and that many patients are using these products. So I didn't think he would do this. I don't know where I stand on this anyway. If it's medical, I get it.
Well, my worry about it is that we don't have a lot of experience with it. And a number of states have totally legalized marijuana.
And some have said absolutely not.
Yeah. In fact, in Colorado, I was there a couple of months ago, and they said, we have become a work-free drug place.
I love that the Girl Scouts put out little tables in front of the pot stores, to sell cookies and sweet. Well, I thought that was great.
Were they cookies with pot in them?
No, because when you smoke pot, you get the munchies.
Oh, I see.
So
yeah, right,
you go buy Girl Scout cookies.
I gotcha.
I don't know who put that together, but it was when they first legalized it in New York. I thought it was hilarious.
The administration also directed officials to work with Congress to pass legislation that gives Americans more access to products containing CBD, the non-intoxicating compound found in cannabis plants.
Weren't we using some of this with Eileen when she had a stroke?
I was about to say that.
And how did it work out?
The only painkiller that worked.
Did work.
When my wife had her stroke is CBD. And nothing else worked. And in fact, I had knocked down drag-out fights with the nursing home to get them to let us use CBD.
Oh, are they still doing that?
Well, now they're allowing it, but they're not objecting to it. But I had to smuggle it in, remember? Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
He's a I'm a pusher man, Dick Morris. Now you gave it up, so you're in trouble.
One clause in the recently passed Big Beautiful Bill restricted the amount of THC, an intoxicating compound found in some cannabis plants, that could exist in hemp products. But the White House is seeking a legislative solution to allow a so-called full-spectrum products that contain higher levels of THC and other compounds. The order maintains restrictions for products deemed to pose serious and potentially life-threatening health, is currently listed as a Schedule I narcotic under the Controlled Substances Act, signed into law by Nixon in 1971. That defined the substance as having no medical value. Mm-hmm. Cannabis will remain illegal under federal guidelines, while classified as Schedule III under the regulatory authority of the DEA. So it's not going to be complete legalization, but it is significant. And the study that underscored it said, though gaps remain in our knowledge about the health effects of cannabis use, the current evidence is enough to sound an alarm. Cannabis is addictive. Cannabis use disorders are on the rise, and those affected by cannabis use disorder are at an increasing risk of premature death, a study in the latest journal of the American Medical Association.
Well, I'm going to say this. I smoked pot when I was a kid. I play in a band. I'm an artist, so of course you're smoking pot, right? And it was just the normal stuff they grew, and you got it, and it didn't wipe you out. You weren't tripping on anything. Later on in life, I tried this new stuff that they got. It'll not make you trip, but it's really strong. And I totally stopped that. I can't do this. It was like drinking, shots of whiskey all day long and you get wrecked. And I can't do that, and I don't want any part of that. So I couldn't. So I don't know how I feel about this, what the story is.
I don't think we really know yet. I was struck by the fact that I did some research when Minnesota and Colorado legalized pot. I looked up the numbers for motor vehicle deaths.
See, that's
and there had been a significant increase in those states. Mm-hmm. And there was something interesting in the Colorado stats, and I don't know if this is true nationally, but in Colorado, the number of pot-related deaths, traffic deaths, increased dramatically. But during the day, at night, there was not much increase.
So people are smoking during the day, maybe?
Yeah. It makes the routine use of pot, where you're just in your car and you're smoking
not like
a
the
cigarette.
Weekend partying guy on Friday night or whatever. Interesting.
And
which makes sense because it's a lot easier to take a little toke and get in your car and or whatever.
They found Monday through Friday in work hours, there was more increase in marijuana-related traffic
I wonder
deaths.
if there's a way to check out workspace and what's happening in the work area if people are smoking.
Well, in Colorado, there is no work area. It's all pot.
No, but that's interesting. And I could see that being, because it's a lot easy to roll, to have one, take a little toke, and then you're good. And it takes 10 seconds. Not like you got to sit at a bar and drink 4 drinks, 5 drinks, you know what I mean, and get hammered.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier.
On that piece of advice from Doug, we'll go to a break.
Okay.
The Dick Morris Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Dick Morris Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
What's this show, Dick? I don't know what it is.
Welcome back to the Dick Morris and Doug DiPirro Show.
Sponsored by
the Patriot Gold Group.
Oh, thank you.
When Obamacare was passed, they provided that there would be an expansion of eligibility. And then when COVID came along, they completely eliminated the limitations on Obamacare eligibility. And they had previously said Obamacare would be eligible for subsidies, but only if you made less than the federal poverty level. But then
which
under
is what,
Obamacare,
50,000, 40,000?
now for family of 4 would be $180,000. Would be $80,000.
Family of 4.
Of 4, yeah.
Sure.
And now the number of official Obamacare subsidies, the number of people who are getting Obamacare subsidies, has reached 800,000 people, 4 times the poverty level. In 2016, there were only 180,000. Now there are 800,000. So basically what the Democrats have done is they said, we're not going to go with uniform health insurance. We're not going to go with mandatory health insurance.
What's uniform health insurance? What is that? Uniform.
We won't do that. What we're going to do is subsidize Obamacare premiums heavily and let everybody enroll in that. And the problem is that the premiums in Obamacare have gone up like crazy, but people aren't feeling it. It's like having an Novocaine in your teeth.
Because of the subsidies?
Because of the subsidies. So we don't feel that the subsidies are increasing, but they're huge and they're increasing dramatically. And it's in our taxes, but again, it's hard to segregate it out. So this basically says that there are 4 times as many people now getting subsidies under Obamacare as there were when it was first passed 10 years ago. And it's now 800,000 people in America are getting subsidies for their Obamacare policies.
It's just incentive to, rake the system.
Yeah, but more importantly, there's no incentive to reform the system.
Sure.
Yeah. And all of the efforts to reduce costs have come to nothing because of the subsidies. It's like you don't cure the disease because you're taking painkillers.
Right.
And you don't know that you have the disease.
And the pharmaceuticals are making money on the painkillers, so they don't want to cure the disease either.
Right.
So it's the same thing. It's a horrible cycle. And it's their voters. People coming in, giving them free stuff. So the Democrats have their voters they're helping out, and they think they're going to keep voting for them, which always bites them in the butt.
Yeah.
Because the voters seem to turn eventually.
Well, it is clear that that's what's going on.
That's amazing.
And but we're looking now at the issue of whether the check should go to the insurance companies in the first place.
That.
Whether they should go directly to people.
Right.
And by changing
in an account they could only use it for, it's like a gift card. I keep calling it a gift card.
Yeah, it is.
If you get a gift card from, Walmart, that's it. You can't go to Target and have to,
right.
Right.
Well, in this case, you can go to any vendor, but you can only use it
for medical.
For healthcare.
Yeah. Right.
And I think that's ultimately going to be the answer.
How close is that to being passed, or what does he got to do? That's got to be Congress,
I think that's
right?
been passed.
Really?
I think it's law now, but in the big beautiful bill it was.
Oh yeah, right.
But there were restrictions on the states doing it, and I think some states have banned doing it under the provision of that law that gives them the option of doing that. Mm-hmm. And I think the current negotiations are to eliminate that ban and let everybody have access to that health care.
Well, if the states are banning it, then they got to get voted out. The people that are banning it. So, but that could take years.
Add it to a list of reasons
to vote people in or out. You want to talk about this judge?
Let's do it when we come back.
Okay.
Do it.
This Milwaukee judge found guilty of obstructing justice. Remember the judge that let the people out the back door? It was immigrants. That's the same one, right? That's what we're talking about, right? Milwaukee County Judge Hannah Dugan was found guilty of felony count of obstructing federal agents seeking to make an immigration arrest outside her courtroom. A precedent-setting case that has been closely watched nationally and drawn passionate protest.
John McLaughlin is going to call.
We got John McLaughlin coming on very soon, so keep an eye on that. The case thrust Dugan, a judge, for 9 years into the center of clash between the judiciary and the Trump administration over its crackdown on illegal immigration. By the way, the Judge Lynn Alderman, she's the sentencing judge in Wisconsin. The Constitution makes this other judge ineligible to serve as judge once she's convicted, or even, I'm not sure about indicted or whatever, but so that's what's happening there. She won't be sitting on that court for long, thank God.
She's the one who said go out the back door.
Yeah, she's the one. There was a immigration problem with the illegal, and she knew that ICE was in the courtroom or whatever waiting for her.
Right.
Go out the back door. Yeah, there was video of it. It was horrible to do that.
So I just want to repeat and emphasize a story that we had earlier. Consumer prices slowed to 2.7% growth in the last 12 months, down from 3% in September. So real weekly earnings, real wages of people in your wallets, in your bank accounts. After years of record-setting falling incomes, Trump said our policies are boosting take-home pay at an historic pace. Under Biden, real wages plummeted by $3,000. Under Trump, the typical factory worker is seeing a wage increase of $1,300.
How
for construction workers, it's $1,800. Mm-hmm. For miners, we're bringing back clean, beautiful coal. It's $3,300. For the first time in years, wages are rising much faster than inflation.
That's great. All right, so when we get back, we're gonna try to get John McLaughlin on, and we'll talk about Stefanik bailing out, and we'll go from there when we get back.
The Dick Morris Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Dick Morris Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Dick Morris Show with Doug DiPirro, sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group.
So Stefanik drops out in the governor's race, clears the way for Bruce Blakeman. So, and we got John McLaughlin on the show. But anyway, before that, Blakeman, he basically, her dropping out, opened up the lane for him. He used to be the commissioner of the Port Authority, New York, New Jersey. And then he was county executive, Nassau County. I think he is now, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, John McLaughlin's going to tell us all about it. Hey, John, how are you?
Merry Christmas, Doug. Merry Christmas, Dick.
Merry Christmas to you, John.
Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah to you listeners. And so anyway, but Bruce I've known for years. And he ran on Governor Pataki's ticket in 1998. Wasn't successful, but Governor Pataki liked him and he appointed him to the Port Authority. And Bruce has done very well. I've done his last two campaigns, did his polling for county executive. And in 2021, I mean, Laura Curran was very popular and as the county executive in Nassau County, but she reassessed and she was running with a guy who sponsored cashless bail. So Bruce.
So she reassessed the property and the voters reassessed him.
And Bruce ran a great campaign, and the Nassau County organization under Chairman Joe Cairo is a very formidable organization, and it's an 8-point Democratic county. But Bruce really worked hard, and he won the race by a couple thousand votes. The first poll I delivered him, he was down 24. So this phases him nothing right now to be, down to Hochul. But he's not known statewide, but he's got potential because he can win the suburbs. He's popular in the suburbs. In fact, we did a post-election survey in Nassau County, and because he just won re-election by double digits while everybody else was getting killed, the Republicans around the country and upstate. The Nassau County Republicans, their ticket topped down under Bruce. Bruce had cut taxes. He held the line on taxes again for 4 years. He cooperated with ICE. They put like a couple thousand criminal illegal aliens in their jail. And they also, he hired hundreds of new police, and crime went down to the point where they have the safest county in America. So he got reelected double digits. The DA got reelected, the controller, the clerk, every town supervisor, everybody, and it's a Democratic county. So when you looked at the exit polls that we did out there, I mean, Bruce was like, he basically, first of all, he against Hochul, he would beat her by 11 points there, which is very close to what
in Nassau.
In Nassau, it's better than what Lee Zeldin had, because Lee, who I polled for, got 55% of the vote out there, got like 60 in Suffolk. So you got to win if you're a Republican and you want to win statewide. You have to blow it out in the suburbs around New York City. You got to get 35% in the suburbs in the city. Trump got 30. Zeldin got 30. Bruce has the potential because he won with Jewish voters, Asians, Hispanics. He got a third of the black vote just this time around based on his record. And he also didn't run away from Trump. He brought Trump out to the Ryder Cup. Remember that? They had the big golf tournament.
Sure, right.
Nassau County sponsored it. He brought the president out there. The president brings his granddaughter.
Yep.
And it was like a Trump rally. People were chanting USA. You saw the better side of Donald Trump where people, Nassau liked him. In fact, we did a poll after Trump had come in, and he had a 57 job approval. And this is in Nassau County, which is 8 points Democrats, and that was higher than he won the county with 53%. So
there's a major contrast between Blakeman and Hochul right there.
Yeah.
With everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, because Bruce is a very likable guy. He's experienced. He's learned, he's had his ups and downs in politics, but he's a very effective county executive, which is like being a governor. People don't realize this. Nassau County is bigger than 8 states. Wow. I mean, that's where Altamont came. They have the town of Hempstead out there. There's 800,000 people. There's 1.5 million people there. So it's kind of, it's and the border, right now he's on the border of Brooklyn and Queens, and he's like worried about Mondami, where they're, because Mondami's talking about shutting Rikers and he cashless bail. They'll go beyond that. And
but do you think Blakeman has a decent shot against Hochul?
Yes, because he has the potential. Like in his first race for county executive, he was down 24. And he understood what the issues are. He cares about the middle class. He does really well with ethnic voters. He does, he wins among Persian Jews in Great Neck and the Orthodox in the 5 towns. But also in North Hempstead, you got Chinese, Korean, Indian voters. He does well with them because he all these anti-Asian attacks and all these anti-Semitic attacks, he's been out there in the forefront trying to keep people safe.
I was just going to ask you how and why.
Yeah, I want to, but I want to understand the basic dynamic here. I think that you have, that the real question for Blakeman, as it was for Stefanik, is how are you going to handle the relationship between Hochul and Mamdani. If Hochul is not going, because Mamdani is going to start to bring chaos and disorder and all kinds of horrible things to New York City. And the question is how Hochul is going to respond to that, and then how Blakeman is going to respond to Hochul's response. Will Blakeman call on Hochul to fire Mamdani, to supersede him? Will he attack Mamdani? I think that what Blakeman needs to do is to run against Mamdani.
Yeah,
and he needs to say the only effective check on Mamdani now is the governor of New York.
Hochul. Wow.
If Hochul isn't going to do it, I'm going to do it. So Hochul just did X. I'm going to undo X, and I'm going to go after him for that. And I think by basically running against Mamdani and eviscerating Hochul for not using the power that she has to curb Mamdani, it's going to be very important. I think Hochul against Blakeman will in effect be the appellate court that on the judgment that elected Mandami in the first place.
Interesting. What do you think about that, John?
Dick is. I've always working with Dick. Dick's always ahead of the curve.
Wow.
But I'll tell you, in September and October during this past campaign, Hochul had a 61 disapprove in Nassau County. They don't like congestion pricing. They don't like cash us bail. They don't like overriding local zoning. So she had a 61 disapprove. Mondami had a 69 unfavorable in our post-election survey. And because of the fear of crime and all the socialist things and higher taxes. So Nassau County, for all those candidates that we got elected, they spent millions in mail and local radio. You probably heard them on your show. We were buying your show. But we ran against the Hochul-Mondami Democrats. Mm-hmm. Now, the interesting part is Governor Hochul has a primary. 4 years ago, she didn't like the fact that she had a primary from Tom Suozzi and Lee Zeldin didn't. So she suckered some Republicans. Well, basically she had Democrats encouraging Harry Wilson to get in and spend $15 million when Lee had it locked up, and Lee won the primary. But he had to spend $15 million. So I hear Governor Hochul's looking to give Bruce a primary. Her people are like in a panic because they know his potential. But on the other hand, Mondami, by the way, in that recent statewide Siena poll, I mean, Hochul only had a 43 favorable and a 41 unfavorable, and there's more Democrats in that and more New York City voters than typically in the turnout, so their model's a little skewed to the Democrats. But in that poll, Mondami was net positive. And it was scary because he's basically 46 favorable and 31 unfavorable. So he's gotten a huge honeymoon out of the New York City press.
Right.
And probably the national press, because he talks about affordability. But how can you dare talk about affordability when you want to raise taxes on people?
Yeah.
That's, after 4 years of Biden inflation, how do you raise taxes on anybody?
Exactly. And I think that Mondami's administration is doomed to be unpopular statewide in New York, both because he's socialist and because of the stuff he's going to do. And the only person that will have the power to curb him is Hochul. And the question is, will Blakeman use that as the basis for his campaign? And I think Blakeman needs to move the election up, in effect, and say the only effective way to stop Mondami from destroying New York City and helping to destroy New York State is to elect me governor and defeat Hochul.
Mm.
Well, Bruce has already been out. And by the way, Bruce, he does things based on what he thinks is right for the people of New York. So he's already been out there talking about if he does certain things like defunding the police and letting more criminals out because they're right on the border of Queens and Brooklyn.
Sure.
He's doing things in Nassau that he has to do as county executive to keep people safe. But on the other hand, your point, Dick, is let's see. I mean, he kept Jessica Tisch. Let's see what he does. And, Bruce running for governor, I'm sure he'll be outspoken. Like he has already spoken about. Governor Hochul talked about raising the corporate tax rate from 7% in New York to 11%. That's on top of federal taxes.
Yeah.
If you want jobs and she's doing it to try to keep Mondami happy so she has money for him. Bruce already spoke out about it, issued a press release right away, because if you want jobs to flee New York, you raise the corporate tax by 40-50%. I mean, you'll have really good paying jobs leaving New York, and you can't do that. So Bruce is already. Bruce, he may be listening to you, Dick. So.
Well, he's going to be on very soon anyway.
If he's not listening to me, he listens to you, and you're listening.
Well,
And John, let me
Bruce
ask you.
Got a very good sense of where the voters are in the issues.
I'm curious about Stefanik, just because I want to know if she thought that maybe Hochul had a real shot of this governorship, why she bailed out. Do you have any opinion on that?
I don't know. I mean, Elise was, she's very strong among Republicans. She certainly has done a great job in Congress. I was disappointed when she didn't get the UN ambassadorship because I thought she would have been great there. Mm-hmm. And, but I have a feeling, although she says she's not running again for Congress, I have a feeling she will have a strong future in whatever President Trump and his future.
I'm wondering if it wasn't more a lifestyle thing, Because when you say you're not running for governor is one thing. When you say you're not running for Congress, it's quite another. When you say you're resigning your seat, that's a third thing. And I think that the stuff that causes that is
family
and things like that.
Love for your children, and you want to see your kids. Sure, that's what maybe.
Yeah, she's a young mom, and you know, it's a big sacrifice in terms of the lifestyle, because you know, with this Congress, with it so close.
Yep.
So I take the Congresswoman at face value, which she said why she left the race, and because it's still, even for us, for Bruce, it's a tough race.
But for us, let's remember the basic thing here. We got screwed by Mamdani's election, and we tried to stop it, and we couldn't. And now the only way to save New York City is to save New York State. And the only way to do that is with Bruce Blakeman.
Yep. You're exactly right. I mean, you're exactly right, because you've seen this in New England, where the only way to basically stop, you know, liberal legislatures is when you had Charlie Baker as governor of Massachusetts, or you got Phil Scott up in Vermont, or you got Governor Sununu in New Hampshire. So, you know, the only way to stop the Democrat supermajorities in the Assembly and the State Senate is to elect a Republican to be the check and balance on them, so they don't keep doing what they're doing to further the decline of
And Mamdani is going to fry himself by proposing the stuff he's proposing and then moving ahead with it. And the more there's a focus on that, the more there's a focus on what he's actually going to be doing, because his publicity of what he might do is so heavy that we need to look at what actually happens.
And I think Trump is going to let him, you know, go quite a bit. He's going to let him
hang himself.
Let him hang himself for, I think, a good 6 to 8 months. You know, Trump could come in early on. I think he's going to stay back and say, look what you voted for.
And then Blakeman has a chance to come in and be the appellate court here and say, okay, this is your chance to undo what we did.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, John, I like the way, Doug and Dick, I like the way you think. Let's keep it a secret, okay? That'll be our secret strategy. You know.
Don't tell anybody. If you're listening, don't tell anybody.
If you want to keep a secret, you kill Dick Morris. What do they say? 3 men can keep a secret if 2 are dead.
Yeah, right.
That's an old saying.
Doug, you're too, it's like it's Christmas time.
You're right.
Right.
I'm so glad you're on with me, Dick.
Yeah. I just give him a little bit of arsenic every morning, just a little drop.
Don't tell me that.
Okay, guys, you take care.
We love him. We love him. Thank you, John.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dick. Thank you, Doug. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. So, if you thought Republicans were in trouble, Democrats have hit a new historic low in the polling of how they're doing in Congress. CNN data guru Harry Enten said in disbelief that the minds of the American public, Democrats, are lower than the Dead Sea. It's 15. Overall, they are 55 points underwater. Their approval rating is south of 20%. It's even worse when you look at independents. Look at this, 61-point negative for independents on the Democratic Party. Quinnipiac has been polling this question for the better part of the 21st century. They've never found Democrats, at least those in Congress, in worse shape than they are now. Democrats are up 4 points in the polls, but historically, they're supposed to be up 10 to have a shot of keeping Congress if the Democrats are in power as president, if the Republicans are in power as president. So, the stats are very good, and particularly with the economic stats we talked about earlier, I think that this could go very well for the Republicans.
You know, after talking to John, and I'm sorry about that, John, but we fool around with Dick a lot. Anyway, we have Sandra that wants to talk about Stefanik's dropout. So got Sandra from New Jersey.
Hi, Sandra.
Hi, Sandra.
Happy holidays. You know, when I heard that Elise Stefanik dropped out, my first reaction was, oh, no, oh, my God, what are we going to do? I was very upset, and so are many people that I know. But as I listen and I learn, I understand that the consensus is Bruce may be the better candidate to handle the state that we are dealing with. It's a very difficult state to run. Even Rob Astorino said he might be a much better general election candidate. But Elise Stefanik, there were some things going on. For instance, I remember when I heard on the radio that she had a little tiff with Mike Johnson. She was very, very frustrated with how the GOP was handling priorities. Then she wanted to change the National Defense Authorization Act involving required FBI notification to Congress when a counterintelligence investigation into federal candidate begins. So that provision was removed, and she blamed Johnson and the Democrats, and she also felt like Mike Johnson was siding with the Democrats all the time. So here was this very frustrated, brilliant woman who was not being heard. So she's angry a little bit, and then of course running against Bruce Blakeman. That's not what I would want to see. I don't want to see two Republicans running against each other. I want to see one. I don't like what I saw with the mayor's race. So that put a bad taste in my mouth. That maybe why didn't she get the endorsements? And maybe she was a little upset with that too. Look, she has reasons to be upset. I hope she comes back. We can't afford to lose seats in the GOP. I mean, look at Marjorie Taylor Greene, and then Blakeman won't be in the seat, and then not her. Those are concerns. So I hope that Donald Trump fixes things a little bit, because she's a soldier. She's great. We don't want to lose her. Maybe not to be governor right now. I would have loved it. I think she would have been great, but that's not my choice. It's not for me.
It's harsh, right? And when somebody drops out of the race, it's one thing. When they drop out of re-election, it's another. But when they say that they're going to quit Congress, you're thinking that this more relates to their marriage, their children, their family, and a lot of things.
I'm not sure of that, but I'm leaning to your side on that. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, we'll
Thank
see.
you, Sandra. And listen,
very welcome.
You're selling lifeboats on the Titanic?
Yeah, I am.
This place we're drowning in New York City.
I have a side light that I've told Doug about.
I don't know why you're so rich, Dick.
I'm going to be selling lifeboats on the Titanic because New York City is going down, New York State is going down, and it's evident that things are falling apart.
Yeah.
And but we can vote with our feet and our butts.
And we got a great guy, Joe
Malillo. And we can relocate
Malillo.
our offices and homes to Connecticut, New Jersey, or Florida.
No, yeah, Connecticut and Westchester.
Right.
Joe Malillo, he's a real estate guy. 914-329-7325. You call Joe. You'll get a free lifeboat from Dick Morris.
Yep. With seat cushions.
At 914-329-7325. Joe Malillo, real estate.
This is a real estate agent, but he really understands that everybody's going to be wanting to leave.
Yeah.
And he's obligingly holding the door for people.
Yeah, because we're drowning in this New York City thing. I love this place, and we're drowning. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll try not to drown.
The Dick Morris Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Dick Morris Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Dick Morris and Doug DiPirro Show, sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group. We've been talking a lot about the border and about the tremendous progress Trump has made on the border.
Unbelievable. He cut border confrontations from 2.5 million per year to 100,000 this year. That's amazing. Trump has completely secured the southern border with just 100,000 border encounters since he took office in January of last year. So 11 months. The latest data is from November to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection shows that. That compares to more than 10 million such border encounters, 10 million encounters the entire time from Biden was in office. Creepy dude, man. Sleepy Joe. From 21 to 24, averaging more than 2.5 million a year. What a difference a president can make. A president that cares about America and its people. Biden, who insisted the border could only be secured by an act of Congress, instead was shown up by Trump, who showed that, no, it takes a commander-in-chief who cares about the country and is willing to put the U.S. military on the border. And, you know, Trump didn't try to show him up. That's not what Trump does. Trump does what he thinks is right to keep the country strong and protected. He's not into that thing. He loves it, that he does show him up, and he loves that he shows that he's a better guy, but he don't care about that at first. He cares about, I'm going to fix the border. I don't care what this idiot says. Anyway, he deployed since January, combined with continued construction of the southern border of the wall. There is finally a deterrent against the unbridled illegal immigration that Biden allowed and invited. That's a decrease of around 95% of the southwest border encounters from 24 level of 2.1 million, stopping at any net gains in the foreign-born population, which as a result has declined by 2 million since January to 48.6 million. Wait, is that right?
Yeah. In other words,
declined by 2.3 million since January to 48.6, according to the latest data. What is that? I'm missing on that.
The Census Bureau keeps account of the number of foreign-born people or U.S.-born. And since Trump began his immigration policies, we found a 2 million person decrease in the number of foreigners living in the United States. And that's what that statistic is about. And the result is, and it's totally stopped coming over the border. I mean, it's really something. When you think about the last election, the number one issue was either inflation or immigration. Trump has solved the immigration problem. There is no more immigration problem.
Right.
There literally is none. There's just the issue of, are we killing people in drug boats that we shouldn't, or we should, but they haven't been sentenced yet.
But he has his magic wand, right? Trump's magic wand. Remember Obama said, how are you going to stop ISIS, whatever he said, magic wand. So he's got a magic wand.
Right.
But you're right. He stopped it. He solved it.
Completely.
But you always say, which is true, you know, when somebody stops something and it's over, it's hard to make a positive about the guy later on because that problem is solved.
When I say this, I'm thinking of Rudy Giuliani, who solved the crime problem in New York.
And he had
but
nothing.
The problem he didn't solve was the police were being arrogant and were being aggressive, and there was too much police brutality, and that wasn't what you paid him to solve. You paid him to solve crime, and he did that. And
he was amazing. Rudy Giuliani was the most amazing man New York City has ever seen. Not mayor, man. This guy, I was in the city all the time. At 14, 16, I had my apprenticeship at J. Walter Thompson, the ad agency. I was in the city all the time. I cut school, took the train in. And Times Square.
And you admitted you smoke pot.
I already admitted that,
Cut
right?
school.
So, yeah.
There's somebody here to see. In fact, two men.
In white jacket. They got white jackets with long sleeves.
Blue jackets.
Long sleeves that tie around the back. But anyway, I would walk down Times Square, and literally it was like a movie where a guy would, psst, psst, hey, what do you need? What do you got? Hey, and he opened up his jacket and he had needles. I swear to God, it was like a movie, and I saw it. And then they had the plywood with holes cut out like Peep Show. It was horrible. It was really disgusting. And Rudy came in a couple of years, there was a Disney store. It was beautiful. It was really amazing. The dichotomy of, who was it, Dinkins before Rudy, right?
But we're about to see a trichotomy because we have a Mamdani coming in. Who will undo all of what Rudy did.
Well, de Blasio started undoing that. He was, you know, that was just a step below the Dinkins mayor. I remember saying that to you with de Blasio, and now this Mancami guy. Anyway, so Rudy was amazing, and you gotta love him. And there you go. Next.
Now, coming up, the story about the people leaving, but people not coming to New York, or people being deported.
What number are you talking
18.
about? 18.
In New York City last year, 29 people were killed by released illegal immigrants.
Oh, God.
29 people were killed by people who should not have been in the country and were voted to leave the country, ordered to leave the country, and didn't.
Hold on 1 second. So 29 homicides, 2,500 assaults, 199 burglaries, 305 robberies, 392 dangerous drug offenses, 300 weapon offenses, and 207 sexual predatory offenses. Among those is it.
So those are all folks that should not have been here and were subject to court orders to be ordered to leave and hadn't left and committed new crimes in New York while they're here. Among those freed is a Turkish among these is a Turkish suspect named Selman Sirak, who was let go after being jailed for first-degree menacing and harassment. A rapist, Hussein Azian, who also charged with assault and criminal contempt, and 2 gang members with convictions or charges for assault, criminal possession of a weapon, and robbery. Currently, there are 7,100 criminal aliens in custody in New York with an active ICE detainer. That means there are 7,100 people currently in jail in New York who ICE wants to deport.
Right. When they say detainer, that means there's an ICE agent, the detainer, that wants them. So I looked this up, and the jail is supposed to give them to the ICE guys.
Yep.
And what happens, a guy like Mandami Kami says, no, don't worry about the ICE. Let him go today because ICE is coming to whatever he does.
Now, these 7,113 people who are wanted by ICE include people who've committed 148 homicides, 717 assaults.
This is in addition to what I
just... In addition to what you said. 134 burglaries, 106 robberies, and so on down the list.
Oh, and down the list. Horrible. New York attorney LaShista James and her fellow sanctuary politicians are releasing murderers, terrorists, and sexual predators back into our neighborhoods and putting American lives at risk. That said, the Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs, Tricia McLaughlin. Horrible. Yeah. Why would LaShista, that piece of garbage, do that? What would be her reasoning, her motive?
Well, the long-term motive is to allow illegal immigration into the U.S., to shift the balance of power to the Democratic Party.
Okay, stop. Hold on. These are horrible people.
Yeah.
The murderers, rapists, or whatever, assaults, homicides. What is her motive? Forget that. Find something else. I want to know what she's thinking.
Well, I don't think she has a motive for the 7,000 people. I think she has a motive to stop this from going on and to allow the flow to continue.
Just the flow. She doesn't really about who the flow. She doesn't care about garbage in the water.
And what it is or what they're doing or where it is.
Right.
They just want to rekindle the flow of illegal immigration.
So it doesn't matter that river is flowing and there's garbage and sewage going in. It doesn't matter as long as it's flowing, right? Like the Hudson. And all of a sudden, I think we have to clean it. And it's got to stop.
Well,
but we're going to get to do this.
Pretty clear.
But we're going to get to do this. I don't know. So we're going to take a break. We're going to take a break now that I'm all riled up. I got to go take a drink. And when we get back, I'll be drunk.
The Dick Morris Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Dick Morris Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Dick Morris and Doug DiPirro Show, sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group. So, just before we go through the news again, can you imagine how hard it is to take a country of 300 million people and rip out 20 million who are here illegally and get them out of the country? To rip them out of society, rip them out of homes, schools,
I don't
jobs.
like the word rip.
Well, it is rip. It's not voluntary. They're departures.
All right.
And a lot of them are voluntary because he's created a program for incentives.
$1,000 he gives them and a free flight.
But you realize the magnitude of the change Trump is bringing about here? Taking 1 out of every 10 people that are here illegally and throwing them the hell out of the country.
Good. Well, you know what? Plus the incentive, which is great. That's beautiful. But you know what? It's a complete change of mindset for us, for conservative people, after he was elected. And I said this many times, that everyone kind of like just a sigh of relief. There was a certain thing. I felt it the next day. It wasn't like I waited a week or a month. I felt like everyone, and I really believe, and I don't know this to be absolute, but I really believe there were a lot of Democrats that had that little sigh of relief, that were getting a little scared about Kakakala and Biden and what was going on. I'm not sure of that, but I just felt it. You know,
it was true. It was true. So let's go to Eduardo in Tampa.
Hey, Eduardo. How you doing?
Merry Christmas, Mr. Morris and Doug.
Merry Christmas.
Hello?
Merry Christmas.
Yep. Okay. And so I got a comment about this blackout in San Francisco. That just adds to like with the $9 billion in fraud in Minnesota. These cities, they just look for an excuse when they have something go wrong, asking for money from Congress. Don't you think that?
Yes,
absolutely. But especially when the offense is self-inflicted. San Francisco is going dark because they have stopped the construction of new power plants. They've stopped expanding the grid.
Diverted water because of a stupid fish.
Right.
So when they have a fire.
And the result is that San Francisco had blackouts. California is having blackouts. And increasingly, you're going to see that the blue states are going to become dark states because they're not going to have light.
I'm going to call them dark blue states. That's good.
Yeah, they're not going to have light. And
that company, that company PG&E, they're the same ones that run power to California.
Pacific Gas and Energy, I think they are.
Pacific Gas and all of but it's not their fault. They're being starved because California has stopped producing electricity, is decommissioning its plants at the time when Trump is trying to start 10 new nuclear plants in the United States. They're trying to take everybody offline. And as they succeed, it's like they pull the plug on their own cities. And the consequence of that is going to be darkness. That's increasingly clear. And that's how to see the San Francisco blackout. But thank goodness the people that pulled the plug are going to be in the darkness.
It's almost like they're the children, you know, in an organization. You know, all of a sudden, all the lower people that just got jobs and they're a bunch of hippies and they're in charge now. It's not like they're adults trying to figure out what to do to make the state work well, you know?
Yeah, but in this case, I think they're idealists who just campaigned against the idea of this power without looking at where it's going to come from.
You know, what I always say, you know, I'm a car guy, so I'll be driving down the road and I'll see a really cool car. It could be like a Ford. And I always said to Ford, and it's a really cool car, but then the rear taillights are ugly. Or they put on little skinny tires and stupid rims, and it ruins the whole beautiful car that they designed. And I always say, oh, that was the nephew that designed. Oh, let my nephew design what the wheels and the tires and the rear taillights are going to go on. He just got out of design school. I always said that. All these people, I like the little nephew. I'll let my nephew figure out how to make the state run. You know, the children.
So it's a pleasure to see the problems coming home to roost. And if Newsom runs for president, we're going to have the delightful prospect of having him explain to the whole country how he screwed up the state.
Why his state is going to be underwater, underpowered, under lights.
And homeless.
And homeless, which they already are.
Yeah.
The Pelosi village. Right. That's all you need a picture of is the Pelosi.
So let's go to Robert in North Carolina.
Hey, Robert.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
For the past 2.5 years, since I've moved to North Carolina, going back and forth from New York, the diesel prices have hardly budged. the average is about $4 a gallon. We need diesel prices to come down. And prices of everything else are going to come down because like 85% of goods move with trucks or trains using diesel.
Yeah, well, they're about to drill, baby, drill. It takes a while for there to be a well and for it to produce diesel and for it to be used at stations. But clearly that is coming down.
Robert, you drive with diesel car, or you're just talking about the diesel fuel right now?
No, I'm just talking about it because that's something I see. I had to use trucks occasionally to bring my furniture and other things down there.
And the reason why I'm saying that is because when I was growing up, I'm 64 right now. When I was growing up, diesel fuel was the cheapest of the fuel because it's not refined as much at all. So I don't really know the technical bit of it, but I know that when I was growing up, when gas was $1.50, diesel was 50 cents. So I'm not sure if it's supply and demand that diesel fuel is now more expensive than regular gas. I'm just not sure. We got to look into that because it used to be cheaper.
Now, why do you go back and forth? Are you in the furniture business?
No, he lives in both places.
What?
No, I had to move a 4-bedroom house, so nice. With all my things. Now, one other thing is if we need more refining capacity, build these refineries.
He is. He wants to.
Yeah, he is. Well, he's just starting 10 new nuclear plants with the refining capacity built into it.
Yeah.
And the disposal capacity built into it.
And the initiatives of the plants.
Yeah.
Whether it's tax deferment, whatever he's doing.
The total change in the energy posture in this country under Trump is absolutely magnificent. And it's why with no increase in inflation, we're able to create great job creation opportunities. Because of the changes in the energy structure.
And just the fact that the media doesn't talk about that tells you everything about the media. You know what I mean? Things really are changing, and Trump is doing some great things here. And the media is not saying that, still saying, oh, it's horrible, and people still are indoctrinated into, he's ruining the country. So right there. What else you got, Robert? That's pretty good, though. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
People will notice right away that the prices of diesel will come down. Gasoline is now down to under $2.50.
Under what? What are you saying?
Under $2.50.
Gasoline. Prices of fuel.
What is it? What is gas in North Carolina right now?
It's gotten down in some places to under $2.50 a gallon.
That's right.
Wow, incredible.
I see it under $3 in the most expensive
and that's
place.
the ultimate indication of the lack of inflation.
That's right.
Because that affects everything.
Everything.
And very, very aggressively.
It used to be about $3.
Used to be about $5, $6.
Yeah, for us in Westchester County, in Connecticut, in New York City, there's a place this is ridiculous, on 11th Avenue and 51st Street. $7, easy $7, because everyone has to get on the Lincoln Tunnel or the Holland Tunnel, so they figure this is your last shot to fill up, So thank you, Robert. Appreciate it very much.
Robert.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll have some more callers. Thank you.
The Dick Morris Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Dick Morris Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Dick Morris and Doug DiPirro Show, sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group.
You know what, the gentleman just talking about the diesel prices, people are going to need some gasoline to get out of New York State.
I also think we haven't really considered how much of the inflation and affordability issue we've seen is because of the massive number of illegal immigrants who lived in the area and had to be housed. When you have that kind of a drain on the supply with no new building being done, you're going to find big increases in rents. And I think that the data is increasingly going to reflect that. And when you combine that with the decrease in interest rates that I think the Fed is going to do, I think that you're really seeing some enormous change Now, we've been talking about Joe Melillo, who is a real estate agent who we met in a bar.
No, it was not a bar.
A restaurant?
It was a restaurant.
Okay, all right.
Come on, we don't go to bars.
And he is specializing in helping people who are fleeing New York.
Right.
That's why I say he runs lifeboats on the Titanic. And
you sell them, though.
Yeah, I sell
them. You're the guy taking the tickets and $1.80.
And the space, yep.
And Joe Melillo is Connecticut and Westchester, or New York, Connecticut and New York. And he's getting people to get out of the city.
His phone number is 914-329-7325.
What is it, Dick?
914-329-7325. So, very often we do traffic reports on the show. So the traffic report is it's very heavy going out of New York. And if you don't want to avoid waiting for your entire life in the Holland Tunnel, get in touch with Joe Melillo and find some other place to live.
It's so horrible. Oh, did I ever tell you, speaking of the Holland Tunnel, and this has nothing to do with politics unless you're Eric Clapton fan, I bought some car parts in Jersey, far, far away. I forget how far away. It was like 8 hours. And I was in a station wagon. This is 30 years ago. My father's station wagon, and I have a motor, transmission, rear end. I have 1,500, 2,000 pounds of car stuff in the back of a station wagon. And it was an 8-hour drive. I'm coming home now. I'm already, 16 hours or what. I'm exhausted. I'm living in Westchester, like Yonkers area, right? Coming home, going to my shop to drop everything. I go, you know what? I'm going to stop, me being Mr. Italian guy, right? I'm going to stop in Little Italy in Manhattan. Instead of going over the Tappan Zee or the George Washington to Yonkers, I'm going to go through the tunnel. And I'm going to go to Canal and whatever. So I go through the tunnel. Now there's traffic in the tunnel. And I have 2,000 pounds of material in the back of my car. I'm hitting the brake. The brakes must be lighting up. I don't know it yet because they're working. I get out of the tunnel and I go to side streets. I don't know if it's Mercer or Pearl or whatever. I want to get to Mulberry, Little Italy. And I know my way, so I go to side roads, and I'm doing like 40 miles an hour, and the guy's walking across the street with headphones. This is way back with the Boss headphones, right? And he's walking with a guitar in his hand, and he's going across the light. I got a green light, and I'm doing 40, let's say, and maybe a little faster. I hit my brakes, nothing, because the brakes were all fired up from on them so much. They were heated up so much. They weren't working. No brakes. I'm hitting the brakes, pumping. I'm hitting the horn. The guy doesn't hear me. He's got his big headphones on, right? All of a sudden, I'm nailing the horn. He sees me. The brakes finally worked. I stopped. He slams his hand on the hood of the car, and he looks at me and goes, sorry, man, I was letting my headphones. It was Eric I almost ran over Eric Clapton. Speaking of the Holland Tunnel, it was amazing. I go, you're talking about infamous, right? I would have been the guy that killed Eric Clapton.
Let's go to Joseph in Connecticut.
Hi, Joseph in Connecticut.
A merry and healthy and blessed Christmas for both of you. Dick and Doug, I call you the dad team. But anyway, I remember driving in the 60s. I lived in the Bronx for 40 years, and diesel fuel was also very cheap.
Right.
Also, I remember paying 24 cents a gallon in the late 60s. That's when I started to drive.
Right.
But I do want to mention about the illegal aliens and what we should do about it. I came over legally on the Andrew Dory in the 50s, and I became a citizen when I was 10.
Wow.
The illegal citizens, why should the United States citizens, taxpayers, pay for the transport? I made this point before. Why doesn't President Trump send these countries a bill for paying for the transportation back to their country?
I like it.
President just bought the 737 planes to transport them back. Why do we have to pay? Now send them a bill, even if they don't pay, then you tariff them.
I like this guy.
Somebody should get to him and tell him this.
Can we hire you? Yeah.
Joe, this is good stuff.
We had to wait 6 years, and my grandfather and parents were here. My grandparents were here. And we had to wait 6 years after World War II to come here. My father put in the papers. My uncle was in World War II in the Pacific.
You're Italian, aren't you?
They were wounded in the Pacific. Send them a bill.
Are you Italian, Joe? I could just feel it.
Absolutely. I was born in Italy. I was born near Benevento. And I lived in the Bronx. My brother actually lives in Yonkers. And I probably ran into you, Doug.
What?
I'm still I'm a teacher. I'm a college professor now. We spoke before about, remember the gas and the gas and all that.
You know, my grandparents would not let us speak Italian when we walked out of the house. You only speak Italian in the house or in your Italian restaurant. He said they used to say all the time, it's disrespectful to speak Italian in front of English. And how about your family? I bet you did the same.
Well, no, my mother actually, she was 40. My father was 40, and my father learned English in England because he was a prisoner of war, because he didn't want to fight in Mussolini's dopey army.
Good.
He surrendered to the British in North Africa. He went to Wales, prisoner of war, almost 4 years. He learned English there. My mother never learned English. She worked in a dress factory in the Bronx. The Bronx had factories. My father's a cabinet maker in the South Bronx. There was factories everywhere. Dressmakers. My mother would walk to the factory. She worked in a factory as a dressmaker until she was 65 years old.
Wow.
They'd pick her up. But there were factories everywhere in the Bronx. I left the Bronx with 3 kids there. It was a dangerous place. Right before Giuliani became mayor.
Where in the Bronx?
I ran into him. I lived on Alton Avenue, Bronxwood Avenue, St. Lucy's Parish.
Sure. Near Arthur Avenue over there, not far.
In fact, I was in Arthur Avenue last week and went to Tradenoy. We went into the church for a mass.
You got to go to Rigoletto's. If you go to Rigoletto's.
Rigoletto's, don't tell me about Rigoletto's.
Listen, hold on. If you go to Rigoletto's.
I know the guys.
Listen, Joe. Joe, if you go to Rigoletto's, all the artwork there is me. The murals in the back, everything you see.
And the box.
Okay. I went to Terra Nova because I know the Terra Nova's really
They're
well.
good people, too.
The students.
They're all good. Anyway, we got to go, Joe.
Thanks
Great
for
talking
going,
to him, man.
Let's go to Patrick in Indiana.
Patrick. All right, let's go to Patrick. Hey, Patrick.
About 2 vital topics that you've touched on. And the first one is the making of jokes by you guys about Mamdani. He doesn't. He can be deported. Rita Cosby has all these clips
Love Rita
of him, and the first thing he said when he was running for mayor after he when the Democrat Democrat there. But anyway, the first thing he said was, "I will seize the means of production," and that's communist. He hasn't said that since because he's been walking back ever since.
Of course. Let me just ask you a question, Patrick. Did you like my jokes about Mamdani or you didn't?
I didn't, just because they were jokes. And President Trump...
It's hard to make fun of Mamdani. He catches up you with your reality.
He is a joke.
He says Trump we should have free bus fares. And
hey, did you cut me off?
No. Yeah.
Okay, President Trump, his oath of office is to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. And seizing the means of production, that's what they do in Russia. That's the first step to communism.
That's right.
And Trump says he's a communist, but yet he didn't... when Mamdani came to the White House, he didn't have Tom Homan there to deport him.
Right.
All right, so
thank you for calling, Patrick.
We have to go, but you know what? It was the right thing to do for Trump to make good of Mamdani and say, "Oh, you're going to be a good man."
Yeah, I talked to him about it,
and he put the ball in Mamdani's.
I said you got to let him make the first move.
That's right. Let him.
And you got to be welcoming and positive and big smile.
That's right.
And let him make the first move.
The failure. Let him fail, not you.
Right. And I would say the same thing to Blakeman, running in the primary against the general election against Hochul. Let Mamdani make the first move. And let his mistakes become your campaign platform against Hochul. Because you're the only alternative New York has now that Mamdani has won. And with Stefanik out of the race, it's basically you or Mamdani running things in the city. And that's the way you have to pose it.
That's excellent. I love that. I'm gonna try to get him on next week.
Yeah.
And
let's
see
do that.
what we
Maybe we
do.
can get him to understand that.
Do we have time for another caller? We got 1 minute. Anyway, Dick, it's an honor to be on the show with you. We had a good show. Did you like my story about the tunnel? It had nothing to do with politics.
I did.
But it was
and
good.
Eric Clapton liked it too.
I think he is great.
Is he the one who did Unplugged?
Yeah, you know what? That was MTV. They did an Unplugged thing. But
Yeah.
he was one of the first, I think.
When he got run over by you, he would have been unplugged.
That's so messed up. He's a nice guy, too. I kind of met him, not really, but my friends that I almost met.
That's a great way to meet somebody. You almost run them over.
And then go to the hospital with flowers.
Yeah, right.
Eric Clapton, slow hand. He was great. Anyway, we had a great show. Thank you. It's an honor once again. And thank you to Roxana Maria with On the Rocks. We did good. Good
show.
Thanks for listening to The Dick Morris Show. You can hear The Dick Morris Show Sundays at noon. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Take my word for it. I live there. Come to Florida. Get pre-approved right now with my guy Michael Kotze. Call him at 561-441-2730. He's got Choice Mortgage and a great real estate team. Get pre-approved right now. Michael Kotze, 561-441-2730. Buy in Florida right now. Don't wait. Save money on state taxes. Make your move today with Choice Mortgage. Trust me, Florida is waiting. This guy's so good, he did my commercials in Florida too. Mike Kotze, 561-441-2730. A ride.